It all started with a forgotten receipt. Just a tiny piece of paper crumpled in the bottom of Olivia's purse. It was innocuous enough, a receipt from a fancy downtown restaurant I'd never heard of, dated for a night she'd told me she was working late. At first, I thought nothing of it. But something, a nagging feeling in my gut, told me to tuck it away, just in case. Olivia and I had been married for 8 years. She was the love of my life, my college sweetheart, the woman who'd promised me forever. We had built a life together that anyone on the outside would envy, a charming house in the suburbs, successful careers, and even a golden retriever named Max. But that receipt sparked something in me, a doubt I couldn't shake. The next few weeks turned into a subtle investigation. I wasn't proud of it, but I started paying closer attention. I noticed she'd been spending more time on her phone, her laughter a little too bright when a text came through. She'd been buying new clothes, something she hadn't done in years, claiming it was just to feel better about herself. Then there were the late nights at work that seemed to multiply. It wasn't long before the picture became clear. Olivia was seeing someone else. I didn't want to believe it at first. I told myself I was paranoid, insecure. But then came the night I decided to follow her. She said she had a last-minute meeting with a client, her voice a little too cheerful, her eyes avoiding mine. I waited 10 minutes after she left before grabbing my keys and heading out. She didn't go to her office. She went to a boutique hotel across town. I watched from the parking lot as she stepped out of her car in a dress I'd never seen before, something red and slinky that clung to her curves. My heart pounded as a tall man in a tailored suit met her at the entrance, leaning in for a kiss that was far too familiar. The anger I felt in that moment was volcanic. But I stayed in the car, forcing myself to breathe, to think. I needed a plan. Blowing up right then and there would accomplish nothing but make me look like a fool. No, I needed to be smarter than that. I needed to make sure that when the time came, they would feel every ounce of the betrayal they'd inflicted on me. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I spent the entire day preparing. First, I hired a private investigator to confirm what I already knew. I wanted proof, undeniable evidence that Olivia couldn't wiggle her way out of. The pie delivered, photos, timestamps, hotel reservations. Everything. It was worse than I'd imagined. They'd been seeing each other for months. The man's name was James. He was her coworker, some hotshot marketing director who thought he could steal another man's wife without consequence. Well, he was about to learn how wrong he was. I started with small acts of sabotage. I didn't confront Olivia immediately. Instead, I played the role of the doting husband, pretending not to notice her lies, her absences. Meanwhile, I learned everything I could about James. His social media accounts were a treasure trove. I found out where he lived, where he worked, even where he went to the gym. I discovered he had a wife, Melissa, and 2 young kids. Perfect. The first domino fell when I sent an anonymous package to Melissa. Inside was a manila folder containing the photos and documents the pie had collected. I wrote a simple note: "You deserve to know the truth." I didn't include my name. I didn't need to. Melissa's reaction was immediate. Within days, James's life started to unravel. I heard through the grapevine at Olivia's office that James had moved out of his house and was crashing at a friend's place. His wife had kicked him out, threatening divorce. But I wasn't done. The night of Olivia's birthday was when everything came to a head. She'd been giddy all day, dropping hints about some special surprise she had planned for me later. I played along, smiling and nodding, while inside I was seething. Little did she know, the real surprise was mine. I'd bought her a necklace, a beautiful, expensive piece with a diamond pendant. It was a prop, a final act in the theater of our crumbling marriage. That evening, she walked through the door, holding a gift bag. Her cheeks were flushed, her eyes sparkling in a way I hadn't seen in years. But there was something else in her expression, a hint of guilt she couldn't quite hide. "Happy birthday," she said, handing me the bag. I opened it to find a watch. It was a nice one, too, the kind that screamed, "I'm trying to cover up my guilt with expensive gifts." I thanked her, pulling her into a hug she didn't deserve. "I have something for you, too," I said, leading her into the living room. On the coffee table was a small, neatly wrapped box. She opened it, her eyes lighting up as she saw the necklace. "Oh my God, it's beautiful," she gasped. Thank you, baby. You're welcome, I said, my voice calm. But before you put it on, there's something I want to show you. Her smile faltered. What is it? I gestured to the fireplace, where a stack of papers lay on the hearth. She walked over, picking them up. Her face went pale as she realized what they were: the photos, the receipts, the hotel reservations. Evidence of her betrayal, laid out in black and white. I know everything, I said, my voice cold. Every lie, every time you sneaked out to be with him. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Tears filled her eyes. It's not what it looks like, she stammered. I can explain. Don't, I snapped. Don't insult me with more lies. Just then, the doorbell rang. Olivia froze, her eyes darting to me in panic. Who is that? She whispered. Why don't you find out? I said. She opened the door to find Melissa standing there, her face a mask of fury. Behind her was James, looking like a man on death row. What's going on? Olivia asked, her voice trembling. Oh, I think you know, Melissa said, stepping inside. Your husband was kind enough to enlighten me about your little affair. James tried to speak, but Melissa cut him off. You don't get to talk. The next hour was a blur of shouting, accusations, and tears. Melissa tore into James, listing every way he'd betrayed her and their children. I let Olivia have it, too, recounting every lie she'd told me, every moment she'd chosen him over our marriage. By the end, both of them were reduced to sobbing messes, begging for forgiveness. You want mercy, I said, my voice like ice. You'll get none from me. I turned to Olivia. We're done. I'll be filing for divorce first thing in the morning. You can keep the necklace. Consider it a parting gift. Then I walked out, leaving her to face the wreckage of her choices. Melissa followed, her head held high. We didn't say much as we left, but there was an unspoken understanding between us. We deserved better than the people who'd betrayed us. In the months that followed, I rebuilt my life. The divorce was swift and clean, thanks to the ironclad evidence I'd gathered. Olivia tried to reach out, to apologize, to beg for another chance, but I blocked her at every turn. I had no interest in reopening a wound that was finally beginning to heal. As for James, he lost everything: his wife, his kids, even his job, thanks to a well-timed email to his boss detailing his extracurricular activities. Last I heard, he was living in a tiny apartment, a shadow of the man he'd once been. And Olivia, she got exactly what she deserved: a life filled with regret, haunted by the memory of the man who'd loved her unconditionally, until she threw it all away.